Why and how the Ukraine-Russia war started on your personal experience as an Ukrainian?
My opinion is that the war, there was no reason, there was just wish of Russia to show to the world that they are very strong.
You came to Canada after war started in Ukraine. Can you share your story of coming to Canada?
I was still almost 1 year in Ukraine during the war, and from the start I was thinking that okay, after 1 month maybe it will stop, after 2 months maybe it would stop, maybe everything will finish during the first year. But with the time we understood that no, it's gonna be a very long conflict.
Can you share a moment or story that stands out in your mind from when the war started?
I guess everybody in Ukraine remember it was early in the morning.
Alright, good evening and welcome to another brand new edition of Beyond the Border Season 1. And of course, this is the first episode of New Year 2025 on CKLU 96.7, your station. You're listening to us on 96.7. You're listening to us on cklu.ca, Radio Player Canada app. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Arjun. And talking about my guest for today is none other than Miss Tetyana Yurynets. She's the Vice President of Ukrainian National Federation, UNF, Sudbury Branch. Originally from Ukraine, Tetyana holds an MBA and brings over 15 years of expertise in customer service, project management, and business development. Since arriving in Canada, she has become a key community leader, working at BMO and volunteering with organizations like Better Beginnings, Better Futures. As a coordinator for Malanka 2025, which is a Ukrainian New Year celebration event which is coming up, Tetyana combines her passion for culture and leaderships to strengthen community connections. And for your information, despite the challenges of leaving her homeland, she has quickly integrated into the Sudbury community, taking on leadership roles as well. Her journey reflects resilience, dedications, and a deep commitment to making a difference in her new home. So, without any further ado, please welcome my guest for tonight. Welcome to the show, Tetyana.
Thank you very much. Good evening to everybody.
Okay, so привіт, як справи? Hi, how are you?
Привіт, як у тебе справи, або як ти?
Wow. And you say дякую.
Дякую, yeah, it's
Дякую.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for coming.
You're welcome. Будь ласка.
Okay, so let's jump into the question. You came to Canada after war started in Ukraine. Can you share your story of coming to Canada and how the ongoing war in Ukraine influenced your decision to leave? And it's been almost more than a year. So what do you want to say?
So to begin with, probably Ukrainians in Canada, the recent newcomers, we are not typical immigrants because a lot of us were never dreaming about coming to Canada, because usually you hear that people who came to Canada, this was kind of their goal. They were dreaming to come to North America. They were very interested in the life here. For Ukrainians, the waves which we have here now in Canada, it was a little bit different because we were quite settled in our home, in our country, and it was just because of the war that people started to flee from the country, and they were trying to find the best place for them, for their families, for their kids, where to settle. So my case was not different. I really was feeling very happy in Ukraine, and I love my land very much. I love my country. And though I was visiting a lot of countries before, I never was thinking about living somewhere else than in Ukraine. But after war started, it's even from the start, I was not willing to relocate, as I found myself in the west of the country. According, like, Ukraine is large. It's the second largest country in the Europe by territory. Okay, surely it's not so large as Canada. You know that Canada is very large. But in comparison to Europe sizes, it's quite large. And the vast part of Ukraine is considering itself be a little bit more safe, because it was not the front line. It was just it could be shot only by rockets, you know. So there would be no tanks on the street. There would be not battle fights. Still, for people who never experienced the war, it sounds like crazy, but for us, yeah, it's more safe, because you have only air attacks by missiles, rockets and missiles. So I was still like almost 1 year in Ukraine during the war, and from the start I was thinking that, okay, like, after 1 month maybe it will stop, after 2 months maybe it would stop, maybe everything will finish like during the first year. But with the time we understood that no, it's gonna be a very long conflict, and I'm mom to the teenager kid, and in my mind, and we had several attacks, which when rockets were coming just next to my office, you were already thinking, okay, maybe we will give a try and go somewhere, because you never know, like we never know whether you can meet other day or no. So you go to sleep, there is air raid in the night, and later somebody is lucky, somebody is not lucky. So then probably there was the decision to relocate, but I still was okay. And then once we got some humanitarian flight, and I just applied, and I was lucky to be there. So like, that's how I came to Canada. And with this, I came to Toronto, and from there already I heard that we have a lot of Ukrainians in North Ontario, and this is how I came to Sudbury. So yeah, it's 1.5 years how I'm in Sudbury, and like, I do not have any regrets actually, because it's the same weather as we have in Ukraine. We have a really big community here in Ukrainian areas, let's say, old, and I'm feeling okay.
All right. So, as we know, the Ukraine-Russia conflict started in 2014 with Russia annexation of Crimea, and escalated into a full-scale invasion on February 24, 2022. This conflict has deep historical and political roots, raising questions about why and how it began. Let's dive into the reason behind this conflict. And everybody knows, like, the conflict has caused immense suffering, with millions displaced and global attention focused on Ukraine's fight for independence. For Ukrainians like you know, this war is deeply personal, impacting homeland and families and future as well. So, why and how the Ukraine-Russia war started, on your like personal experience as an Ukrainian?
First of all, I'm from Crimea. So
Okay.
I was born in Crimea, I grew up in Crimea, my mom was born in Crimea, so this is the like this is the land which was annexed first.
Right.
And there are a lot of stories like Crimea is not like Ukrainian or kind of the thing, like some people in Russia saying, oh, they're speaking Russian in Crimea. We are all supposed to understand that Ukraine was part of different countries, empires. It was part, so as I said, as I mentioned, Ukraine is large. And some part in different period of time belong to different empires, like to Turkish Empire, Ottoman Empire. So the Crimea, it was part of exactly Ottoman Empire. And we have a lot of still Tatarians who were living there, like Muslim people who, but all Ukraine is mainly Orthodox, and we have a little bit of Catholic, like Christian, but we have them there. So from other point of view, the West Ukraine were part of Austria-Hungarian Empire, of Polish-Lithuanian Empire, and East Ukraine was part of Moscow Empire. There was nothing like Russia before. So with the time, let's say, we went through artificial famine, where like Moscow government were taking the wheat from our farmers, and where millions of people were like find dead, they were killed, and this Holodomor, as we call commemoration, is like really hard. So they were bringing people from deep Russian territories, like in order to put them on those territories of Ukraine, which were fully empty after this famine, like artificial famine. So at the time, the people who lived in Ukraine, they were becoming not rooting to Ukraine. They were like already from different ethnicity, like from Middle Russia. And there was a period when Ukraine was part of Soviet Union, and in Soviet Union they were forcefully making people just to speak Russian. So yeah, some territories they were forcefully speaking Russian. For example, my great-grandparents, they were speaking Ukrainian. But my grandparents were already speaking Russian. If you ask me which was my mother tongue, the first one, I would tell to you Russian. If you ask me whether I consider this is my native language, I would say to you no. So this is as somebody would occupy your country. You would speak, for example, any language, artificial, ammo. Later, these people go, and you are coming back to your language. Would you consider this ammo language artificial, your native one? No. So it doesn't matter. Like, people who were speaking in Crimea Russian, they still were considering themselves like Ukrainian. Tatarians, they were speaking Tatarian language, they were considering themselves like as citizens of Ukraine. So it was not about language conflict. I guess for me it was at all like kind of international crime, because Ukraine, after Soviet Union collapse, they had the third potential of nuclear power weapon in the world. And we signed the Budapest Memorandum together with UK, together with United States, Russia. There was also France, as I remember, and not sure about China. But the conditions were that we are giving all our weapons, and these countries are supposed to protect us and not to attack us. And now when Russia attacked, we see that United Kingdom, we see that United States, they were very concerned, even with the annexion of Crimea, but there was no any really radical steps towards Russia, and that's why the escalation prolonged. Because Ukraine has a lot of resources. We have gas, we have oil, we have a lot of other natural resources, and Russia was usually considering this as their territory. Whenever people wanted to be separately, or whenever they wanted to be independent, they were always reminding, oh, you are close to us, it's very dangerous for us. So I would say that this is our geographical position next to the Russia, which was usually influencing Ukraine really bad. Because whenever they feel that, okay, there is something good happening in Ukraine, it's not good for them. So my opinion is that the war there was no reason. There was just wish of Russia to show to the world that they are very strong, and this is like, let's say, their way to show to, oh, okay, USA doing something in other parts of the world, we are still the key gamer in the Europe, and this is only why.
Yeah.
It's not that people guilty or there
Alright.
was some political issues. No, no, no.
And it's been a decade that's still going on. We wish it's gonna stop very soon, you know. Can you share a moment or story that stands out in your mind from when the war started? If you have to remember anything.
I guess everybody in Ukraine remember it was early in the morning, so everybody comparing it to Second World War, 1941, because the Kyiv was bombed early at dawn, like sunrise. So the same was with the Kyiv on February 24. It started that they started to bomb all the cities, the main cities, very early in the morning, and my cousins. My uncle, cousin, they were exactly next to Borispil. It's like Vyshgorod, where the attack started. It was so I remember her call, and they were just looking at. They saw helicopters which were like just next to their windows, and everybody was like kind of having a scary moments. Though we have war already in the East Ukraine, yes, Donetsk region, and my brother was living there. They lost all their property there, but and like our in Crimea as well. But in comparison to this, like this was full Ukraine, you know. It's like it's not like just this part or that. You was experiencing this everywhere, saying, oh, there is something in Odessa, there is something in Dnipro, there is something in Kharkiv, there is something in Kyiv. So like you was trying to follow the news, and it was everywhere. So everything, it was a panic. Like you could see people on the streets which were trying to withdraw money from ATM machines. You were like seeing that people started to move, you know, everybody, like you see people who are starting to put luggage, to leave their houses. So yeah, like there was a full panic, and probably this is the best word to discuss.
All right.
To like.
Tetyana, have your family or friends been able to leave Ukraine, or are they still there?
My family, it's only me and my son who
Okay.
left Ukraine. All other members of my family, they are still in Ukraine. My mom is there, my brother, he's there, my son's father, he is in Ukraine. So people, they kind learned how to live during the war. And with the time, it's like, even as I said myself, I didn't move from Ukraine like from the start of the war. But with the time, it's like you're panicking. Probably it depends what kind, surely, of personality are you. But first days, it's very hard. Like, but with the time, you understand. We even had like. My son, who is 15 years old now, I remember his classmates, they were following these Telegram channels, and like this you see how is rocket coming from, for example, Caspian Sea to Ukraine, and they already knew how many minutes they have until they go to bomb shelters. So if it's reaching, for example, Kyiv, oh, okay, we have still 5 minutes. Oh, okay, like anti-missiles system works, so we are good. So everybody already trying to keep their normal life. People are still getting married, the kids were born, you know, like you are entering the university, you work, but just like with the war continuously prolonging in your country. And if first, like, okay, let's better wait, yeah, there would come better times. With this war, we started to learn that there is no better time. There is only today. Today is the best day to live. And if you have something, let's do it today without postponing it for tomorrow.
Absolutely true. So, how has the war in Ukraine affected you and your loved ones? And how do you stay connected with loved ones back home?
So, Yeah, surely it affected my work. I was working for IT business, and my actually, I remember this funny moment because my general manager, he was American citizen, and before the war started, there was some information from American embassy, and they were saying, please, all American citizens move out from Ukraine. So it was like several weeks, and he decided to close it. Though we were in IT and we could work remote, he was like, oh no, if somebody gonna die, we will lose the project. So he was like really panicking, and we, like all Ukrainians, like we were like very, I don't know, let's say optimistic about all this, and it's like, but then like he closed. So start of the war, I was really without job, but it was like 2 weeks before I started working with TV Asahi. I was like, because there were a lot of foreign mass medias who were like trying to understand what's gonna happen in Ukraine. So it was like changes. Later I came back to supply and management in more where I was working before. But the start of the war, I found myself working for this TV media, Japanese TV media, which I never was working before, just like because I knew the language. And there were so many international mass media which were trying to really broadcast and show what is really happening in Ukraine. So it was like part probably of me, which were like, okay, you need to be there to show how people really trying to survive and not the world to see this. And later, war actually moved me here to Canada, and it changed the life of myself, of my son, who I remember he was in school on Friday, and we got the tickets probably on Saturday. So and our flight was on Tuesday from Paris. So he never was able even to say goodbye to his friends when we were moving. So like we were packing during one night. And it's very hard to, like people who are preparing for immigration, sometimes they have years, to prepare themselves to move from one country to another. We were having one night to get 2 suitcases for each of us, and that's it. But this was after 1 year of war in Ukraine. And could you imagine what could people gather with themselves if they were on war zone? Sometimes it was just passports.
Very
so
true, very true.
That's it.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts on how the international community, including Canada, has responded to the crisis?
From the start, they really helped a lot. So I remember Polish border first days of war, and they were trying to help all people because the Polish border is the largest, let's say, to get into Europe. We had from Romania, from Moldova, from Hungary, but Poland took a lot of people through. It was the main border, and they had a lot of warm food because sometimes people were in trains for several days. It's like railway transport, bringing people there. They tried, but everybody was expecting that it would be a deal of several months, but with the time we understand that in every country people have their own struggles. It's like I came to Canada and I understand, there are so many Canadians who have their own problems. Yes, there is rent problems, there is health system problems, and surely every government thinking about their own citizens for the first, this is the priority. And from the start, yes, there was support, but war is not it's prolonging. People are dying every day.
Absolutely.
We lost so many, let's say, generation which were supposed to bring kids, this is young guys, this is the men from let's say 25 to 40 years, the majority of them, and so many kids died. With any support, they gave some support. It's like even like Canada, yeah. When you are coming here, they try to help. They gave probably it was English courses for free, because a lot of people, they didn't know English when they were coming here. There was possibility to use settlement service, as I remember, so they were trying to help. But there is also and people themselves, I remember like I came here later, but even in Sudbury there were so many people who donated some clothes, things, they were bringing it to Ukrainian Federation. So on the level of government and on like human level, there was a lot of support when the war started. Nice. But these days, like it's already people, they forget that there is war. It's just like it's becoming common. Oh, the war in Ukraine is still, but people can't go home. So like they stuck here, and they're trying to be the part of the community. You know, they are doing their best, and surely we would like to have more support, but we are thankful and grateful for what we have.
All right, thank you, Tetyana, for shedding light on the complex and this painful and sensitive topic. I can only imagine how difficult it has been for you and all Ukrainians, you know, those who have stayed to defend their homeland, and those like you who have had to rebuild their lives far from home. And the strength, resilience, and the unity of Ukrainians during such unimaginable challenges inspire us all, you know. Please know that our thoughts are with you and your family, and of course your community as you navigate this ongoing struggle. Let's jump into your struggle. What were your, like, some of the biggest challenges you faced as a newcomer? Said it's been almost 2 years for you to Canada, and how did you overcome them?
Here we are not different to any other immigrants. Whenever we are coming here, so we are on work permit. So it depends. If you find a good work, you can survive in Canada. If not, anyhow, people after a while coming back, because there is no any other government support for us. We are not like on refugee money or kind of some government fees. So it's what you earn. So the biggest challenge is to find the work, because without Canadian education and without Canadian experience, to get a first job in Canada, which would cover all your costs, is really a challenge.
What was your experience finding the first job?
It took me actually a little bit to even write my resume, because in Europe we do it in completely different way. We just put it as a CV, like where you put all your experience, and here you need to apply for exact job with different resumes, which was like for me like kind of the strange thing. I didn't understand why I need to cut all of my experience, you know, just to fix it, to find some words and kind of the thing. But I probably was one of the luckiest people, because I came for the interview to be more. It was actually part-time job, but like I started with it. They asked me, are you okay with these hours? Like it will be not full time. But as it was my first interview in Canada, I said, yeah, like I'm fully fine. And this year, like it's almost a year I'm there. And I got my hours. It was my first job. So for me, for the first job, I was quite satisfied. The other challenge is to find the rent when you do not have a credit score. Yeah, so somebody would let you in their place without having a work contract, yeah, a job offer, and without having this credit score. And yeah, here the Ukrainian community actually helps a little bit, because they know people. They could be like guarantors to you, because otherwise I don't know how a lot of us would survive here.
All right. Since you're the vice president of UNF Sudbury Branch, as per your experience, what challenges do you see Ukrainian immigrants facing in Canada, and how does the Ukrainian National Federation support them?
So yeah, from the start, I was to say that Ukrainians here in Sudbury have a very long history. So even this building which we have on the food row, it's like they starting to build it. It seems to me from 1932, and it's like finished in 1950 something, 53. So it's over 20 years, and. These days, I find a lot of people, even when they are coming to the bank, and they have Ukrainian last names. For me, it's very easy to identify these people. Whenever I ask them, "Oh, you have Ukrainian last name," they say, "Oh, yeah, my great-grandparents were like from Ukraine." But the story is like people integrating into society. Yes, nobody wants to feel themselves immigrants. So with the time, they're like those people who built this Ukrainian Federation in Sudbury, because we have this Ukrainian National Federation over all Canada. It started from Edmonton, it was in Saskatoon, in Saskatchewan, in Toronto, so like probably all territories where Ukrainian came after like Second World War, during Second World War. They were all over Canada and settling their branches in order to support their culture, in order people to still remember their language. That time there was no internet, and it was like cultural club for all of them. They were doing cooking classes, they were doing their famous pierogi, like cabbage rolls, all the things. These days we are like having this building as for us, for newcomers to come to have all these events, like cultural events as well. Sometimes people are just coming and they have nowhere to live, so it's just like not to be homeless. Because sometimes, like from the start, you needed support. This was the place where people from Sudbury were bringing their help, which they were giving to newcomers. So generally, National Federation, like Ukrainian National Federation, it's like kind of place where you always will find somebody who is ready to help you with different things. We have our church also in Sudbury. This is Ukrainian Catholic Church. We have a senior center, and we have National Federation. So let's say for newcomers, we are trying to do everything, and when I came, that's why I became like the part of executive board, like to support Ukrainian traditions, Ukrainian culture, to support small Ukraine, in your heart, right. And not you to feel so sick about being so far from your homeland.
Absolutely. And let's talk about the forthcoming Malanka 2025. You are one of the coordinators for Malanka 2025. What does this Ukrainian New Year celebration mean to you? And how do you see it is strengthening community ties in Sudbury? Could you explain its significance and what attendees can expect in this event?
So Ukrainians are people with a lot of superstitions and a lot of different traditions, as every nation. So we have Julian and Gregorian calendar, and that's why we usually have 2 New Years. The one which was on the 1st of January, okay. And later in 14 days it was the old New Year from the old calendar, and we usually called it Malanka. It's like more to the meeting of more to the spring already, and there was a goat. It was not a little bit like maybe for people kind of the Halloween, because they were redressing themselves and coming to houses. They were like singing their songs and all this thing, but for people who came to Canada, they wanted like just to bring this tradition of celebrating 2 New Years. So Malanka, in their understanding, was the biggest party of New Year. And for years they were trying to keep it. You will find Malanka everywhere. So like it's like gala, like New Year gala. Just there will be Ukrainian songs, there will be Ukrainian dances. Food, a little bit of Ukrainian food as usually. So it's like kind of bringing all Ukrainians who are living in Sudbury or around together for reminding them their roots. And this is the place, like this Malanka event, where you will see people who just having, like, for example, their grandparents were from Ukraine, and they already don't know the language, but they just like have this heritage and they want to be part of it. There will be some people who are just Canadians and they are interested, like
Right.
they just interested in multicultural things, and they are coming there. And there are newcomers who like want to have everything which is connected to Ukraine because they just came and they are trying to be part of it. So let's say it's new experience. It's like whenever you want to see something different and to see how other nations doing this, just like everybody is welcome. We like still selling, we call it dance tickets, when you are coming, enjoying music, and dancing on the pole. It's possible, like you can buy it just like in Steelworkers Hall on next Saturday, it's 11. So on cash, just on the doors. And like we hope that this tradition will be kept in Sudbury, and we'll have a lot of more Malankas,
All right, we are almost at the end. You're also, associate as a volunteer with Better Beginnings, Better Futures. And can you tell us about the role it plays in helping newcomers and high-risk community members?
Oh, when I came here to Sudbury, I was looking, like, firstly, I have an accent, and I was a little bit anxious, a little bit whether people would understand me before going to interview, kind of the thing. So I decided to volunteer a little bit. And I was looking for a place not far from where I'm living. And I found this organization, which I really proud to be part of. And I would like, if somebody doesn't know yet about them. So this is non-profit organization, Better Beginnings, Better Future. They have a public closet. They have emergency food on Wednesdays. This is the place whenever you want to donate something, starting from your clothes or some household items, you can bring, and later people who are in need, they have free shopping there almost every day. They're coming, and this is people. We can say, yeah, there are some people who are really in need, like homeless, and these days it's really cold outside, so they need a lot of different items, starting from the pillows, like blankets and things. So, and there are a lot of newcomers who are just coming as I once with suitcase, and they, when you are coming to empty room, you need everything, starting from spoon, I don't know, till desk, and all these things, like small things, you can get there for free. Just like you need to guarantee that you are not reselling this thing, so they're helping a lot. And this is Sudburians who are helping for the people in need. So to be part of it, like whenever I have free time, I'm usually coming and helping them, because like this, I'm feeling that I'm giving something back. So Canada took me. I'm quite safe here, let's say. I'm able to work here. So this is my way, and I do believe, as a lot of immigrants, to give it back. Yes, to local community, and to express my gratitude for their welcoming.
Beautiful. And talking about your professional transition, with over 15 years of experience in customer service, project management, and business development, how did your decade of experience and skills in sales, supply chains, and business development translate to your role at BMO and your work in Canada?
Okay, it's like I definitely understand that it starts with my career, and the main point why I do love my work as a teller in BMO is this is kind of networking. Is because like when you are coming and you don't know anybody, it's so nice way to meet people from different walk of lives, like and you're listening to different stories. So like with working in the bank, you're really learning how the life is going in this town. You listen to different stories, you meet different people, you understand more itself about life in Sudbury and in Canada. So I'm very, let's say, I appreciate my first experience in the bank very much. Yeah, I probably not gonna have a full-time job there, so I probably will look for something different because for immigration we do not have any discounts from the government, let's say like this. And in order to be able to stay in Canada, because the war in Ukraine is like still ongoing, and my son reaching the age when they already could be like prepared for the army, because they're starting like from 16, 17 years old, and I guess all moms will understand me that this is not something you would like to face. And so normally, yeah, for immigration you need to have a full-time job position, and probably in nearest future I will start looking for it. But I'm very positive about anything, and I guess that my experience bringing some smiles to all my customers.
Absolutely, everything's going to be fine for sure. So, before we leave, what advice would you give to other newcomers, especially those feeling a conflict, from their country and about building a new life in Canada while staying connected to their roots? What do you want to say?
I probably would wish everybody to believe in themselves, not to lose the hope, because it's very important to understand that whatever obstacles you face, you still need to be strong, because if you're alive, if you are healthy, there is nothing wrong. You just need, with small steps, to go towards your goal. Because life is so beautiful, and if you are in a peaceful country and just like put all your strengths in what you want, and that's definitely gonna help you. And don't allow yourself to feel pity about yourself. Then yeah, like you need to move forwards. No way to go back. Then it's probably gonna work.
Absolutely, move forward. Last but not the least, as a community leader and advocate, what are your hopes for the future of Ukraine, and how do you envision continuing to contribute to the Sudbury community?
Sure, I wish that the war in Ukraine would stop as soon as possible. And I do believe, I want to believe that it's gonna happen soon. Like, I just like pray for every person in Ukraine.
Yeah.
But as a part of community, like now in Canadian community in Sudbury, like Ukrainian community, I know that a lot of people not gonna go back to Ukraine because they already started settling here. They already found a job, their kids are in school, and their houses ruined in Ukraine. They have actually nowhere to come back. And for them, I wish best, and I wish that we can have some way to settle in Canada, because it's very hard. Like, we do not have any special immigrations like programs, and for a lot of them, without knowing English, it's like really hard. But still, like, we hope, let's say maybe government, because everybody is waiting for rural immigration program is supposed to be open. I know a lot of immigrants looking for them, and like we believe that everything gonna be all right. Yeah, for Ukraine especially.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so thank you so much, Vedha, and thank you so much for sharing your incredible journey and insights. And thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome, and I just like wish to all Canadians to enjoy every day they have and to know how lucky they are because they're living in peaceful country and they have a really very nice, beautiful country and they are happy to live in. So, like, without any pessimism, let just their life be happy.